What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Next Pats podcast. I'm Phil Perry. We are bringing back a legendary return guest. It's Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. We had him on back in October to talk to us about Mac Jones, what he'd seen, what he liked, what he didn't like so much. And at the end of the podcast, he said, hey, let's talk again the end of the season. Let's see how far Mac has come. So we brought him back. It's the end of the season. It's time to talk to Kurt Warner. I think you guys are going to really be interested by what he has to say because there is plenty that he likes. Really good rookie season. Can't tell you how many times he said that. Clearly, he likes the accuracy that Mac Jones has shown. He likes the decision-making that Mac Jones has shown. He even talks about some of the special, quote-unquote, special throws that Mac Jones put on tape over the course of the season. When we spoke the first time around, he said, listen, I like the decision-making. I like that he's taking care of the football for the most part, but can he make the special throw? We were comparing Mac Jones to Zach Wilson. And at that point in time, again, just a few weeks into both of their rookie seasons, Zach Wilson had put a few kind of ridiculous throws on tape. And we knew that he had the ability to do that when we watched him at BYU during his college career, but he was so inconsistent and he did not have the decision-making piece hardly at all. And so at that point in time, again, that first discussion, Kurt Warner said, give me the guy who makes the right call. And even if you're not necessarily going to be carried by that guy, if he's going to be a quarterback you can win with rather than a quarterback you win because of, that's okay. You're still winning at the end of the day. You just have to surround him with some pieces. Since then, though, I would point to the Browns game. I would point to even the latter portion of the Dolphins game. You've seen some special throws get made by Mac Jones over the course of this season. Kurt Warner has noticed that as well, but we're talking about where he can improve because obviously this last month of the season has not been what Mac Jones has wanted. Outside of that Jaguars game, season finale against the Dolphins, second matchup against the Bills, matchup in Indianapolis coming off the bye. 3 of those 4 games, not only losses, but I would also say 3 of the worst games that Mac Jones has put together all year long. First month included, when he's a rookie quarterback and he's got a banged up offensive line that's hardly protecting him. So we get into the reasons why. Okay, was it a regression? Are these just bad days to have bad days? And it's just part of the rookie process? What is Kurt Warner seeing, especially in that last Buffalo game? He's just coming off of having watched that second Buffalo game, that game at Gillette Stadium. So perfect time for us to talk to Kurt Warner because, again, obviously, Patriots and Bills coming up this weekend. So phenomenal conversation. You guys are really going to enjoy it. Let's get to it right now. All right, we are very happy to welcome back our next guest on the Next Bats podcast. It's Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. You know him, you love him. You obviously watch him on NFL Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Kurt13Warner. And you can see him on NFL Network's NFL Game Day morning. It's Saturday at noon and then Sunday at 9. Kurt, you are a busy, busy man. Thanks so much for spending some time with us.
You got it. No problem. It's wild card weekend. It's playoff time. And so it's great to talk football at this time of year.
No doubt. Well, we had the opportunity to talk to you months ago. It was back in October about Mac Jones. We finished up our conversation. You said, hey, hit me up at the end of the season. Let's see where Mac has gone since our conversation here today. So we welcome you back in. And I want to just ask you right off the bat, how would you assess Mac now? Because we've gone through a full 18-week season, a 17-game schedule. And the one thing that stood out to me from our first conversation, Kurt, was your assessment of Mac as already a good decision maker, but maybe not a quarterback who has the quote unquote special throw type of ability just yet. We were comparing him and Zach Wilson quite a bit because they were about to play the Jets and they were almost polar opposites. So has your opinion of Mac changed at all, or is he still essentially the same guy you saw earlier in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's changed a little bit. I mean, I've seen Mac make some really, really good throws, what I would call special type throws this year. And so it's not that he can't do it. I would just like to see him do it more. I would like to see him be more aggressive. Is that, what we talked about early on with Mac is basically what you got most of the year. And, let's preface this with the fact that he's had a really, really good rookie year. What he's done, the way he's played, the decisions that he's made for the most part and given his team a chance to win every time out. I mean, you don't find many rookies that play at the level that he played at. With that being said, I think what you understand about this team is they were built on the run game and defense. And Mac kind of played the game to get completions most of the time. How quickly can I get it out of my hands? And I think I was actually just watching the Week 16 game against Buffalo, and I just think sometimes he errs to a fault of getting it to his check down too quickly. And a lot of people might say, well, what does that mean? I mean, he's getting completions, he's getting the ball out of his hands, he's not taking sacks. But I'm a believer that in this business, the quarterback has to make big time throws to beat good teams just about every time you play them. Now, things can happen with the defense run game. You can win other games that way. But most of the time when you get into the playoffs, your quarterback has to be willing to take chances and attack down the field. And I don't think Mac does that enough. I think he's too quick to get it to his check down. And he gets positive plays. But, it doesn't matter how good you are in this league. It is tough to make 10 and 12 play drives consistently because eventually you're going to screw it up. Somebody's going to drop it. You're going to miss a throw. You're going to get sacked. You're going to have a penalty. And now all of a sudden you're behind the sticks and checkdowns just aren't good enough. And so that to me is where I want to see Mac take the next step. And let me also preface it with the fact that I'm not sure they have the guys on the outside that are complete difference makers out there that, would lend itself to a quarterback going, oh, let's just take a bunch of chances down the field. Those aren't guys that are winning deep. They're not winning in the one-on-one situations like some of the other guys and some of the other playoff teams in the league. So, you have to put it all together. And you say Mac had a really, really good rookie year. But what I've seen in the regular season, I wonder if it's good enough to win in the playoffs or at least win a few games in the playoffs, because I'm not sure he's doing enough attacking down the field. Or I'm not sure, let's say it this way, I'm not sure their offense is doing enough at making the big plays and kind of the game-changing plays that can flip the field or that can change the complexion of the game on one play. And it almost seems a little bit too hard for them offensively because they have to be so efficient.
Yeah, it really is a difficult thing to try to pin down in terms of, okay, how much of this is Mac and his decision-making? How much of it is the weapons that he has on the outside? I mean, I think Joe Burrow is a great player for us to watch now. Man, he's just been so much fun to analyze. And when you know it, they add a big-time playmaker on the outside for Joe Burrow, and all of a sudden the explosive plays go through the roof, and he's, even when he's under pressure, he's become a big-time playmaker. So it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots can add maybe this upcoming offseason. But I am interested to hear a little bit more about the Bills game and what you saw there, Kurt, obviously with that Bills matchup coming up. And I think that game was indicative of how the season has kind of ended for Mac. What's weird, I think, for a lot of us who followed him all year long is that it does look like he's regressed in some ways. Some of the decision-making things that were such a strong point for his game for the most part early on this season, they haven't totally evaporated. But for instance, in that Buffalo game, I think he just sort of misread a linebacker or didn't see him and ends up throwing a pick pretty early in that game. And it's just tough for this offense to rebound from those types of mistakes. So how would you explain some of the regression maybe we've seen as far as the turnovers and the decision-making things have gone for him?
I'm not sure I would say regression.
Okay.
I just think there's times that he plays too fast. And, it's to my point that sometimes he gets to the check down too quickly. Instead of letting a play out, seeing what the defense is going to do and get to his check down when he should get to his check down, he's making some of those decisions kind of real quickly. So you go back to the Indianapolis game, he threw the interception in the red zone. He peeked off to his left to his first read, and then he came back to his second read without really verifying what was going on, and he threw it, and Darius Leonard's right there to make the interception. There was another play in that game where he threw an interception, throwing it to his back on a check down, where he had an opportunity or a couple opportunities for big plays, but he got off it so quick, and then he wasn't quite ready to make, the check down throw and really see the defense, because that's what I mean when he goes so quickly that it's almost like boom, boom, and I got to get the ball out, and you don't verify the defense sometimes. The pick against Buffalo, was a quick slant off of a play action. And I think he was just trying to beat the linebacker with the throw, which we've all done. Linebacker gets a finger on the ball, it tips off the receiver, and it becomes an easy interception. So I don't think that was necessarily on him. I knew exactly what he was trying to do. It was just a good play by the linebacker. But if you go back to that game, really what I saw is that game was about third downs. I had this impression in my mind thinking back to the game was like, well, Buffalo really took control early And, they were kind of ahead the most of the game and then win by double digits. You go back and watch the game, that wasn't necessarily the case. Is that, this game was really, really close, into the fourth quarter. And, every time Buffalo scored, New England came back. I mean, I think they were up 20-7 at one point, but then it's 20-14, it's 26-21. And so, this game wasn't out of hand by any means for New England. But to me, it was about third downs. As you go back and watch that, I mean, McKenzie in that game was incredible in, tight situations and third down situations. They made a bunch of plays on third down, whereas Mac and the offense of the Patriots, when they got into third and longer situations, the Bills played a lot of man-to-man coverage. And so back to our initial point is, do you have the horses on the outside when a defense is going to go man-to-man in critical situations to win in those situations? And they didn't win very much. And so that's, something that I see playing out again this week is I think Buffalo is going to go, hey, we're going to play man-to-man coverage, and we're going to force these guys to consistently beat us in this game, and then force Mac to consistently make the tight throws into man-to-man coverage. But that, to me, more than anything, I thought swayed this football game. Even though, New England, they had chances. They had chances to win this game, even though they fell down early. I just thought Buffalo did a great job of every time New England answered, Buffalo answered once again, and they found ways to make plays, and it obviously started with Josh Allen. But, they've got some playmakers on the outside because New England loves to play man-to-man coverage. And so that contrast, does New England have the horses to win against man-to-man coverage? And then can New England shut down the horses of the Buffalo Bills, starting with Stephon Diggs, when they go man-to-man coverage?
Kurt, I wanted to ask you, because you talk about playing a little bit too quickly, getting to the check down a little bit too quickly. Can any of that be traced back to some type of rookie wall? Because we know it's been a long, 12, maybe even longer than that, call it, maybe 24 months for the guy. You can go back to whenever he took over from Tua and he basically hits the ground running. You have the whole pre-draft process. You got to beat out Cam Newton. Now you've got the weight of a franchise's shoulders, or the weight of a franchise on your shoulders. You're essentially replacing Tom Brady. He's an emotional guy as it is. I think he takes losses really hard. I think we've seen that over the course of the season. Do you believe in the rookie wall, Kurt? And do you feel like part of what he's dealing with right now might just be exhaustion?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in the rookie wall. I mean, because it's different, and the intensity is different, especially at this position when you're playing in the NFL and the expectations that come with playing that position. But I wouldn't say, what we're seeing from a playing standpoint is necessarily a rookie wall. And I say that because we've seen it all year. It hasn't been something that we saw something different for the first 8 weeks. And now all of a sudden, the last 8 weeks, he's playing differently, playing faster than he was early on. This has kind of been who Mac Jones has been all year. And again, good rookie year. And if you're telling your quarterback that we're going to win with defense and we're going to win running the football, and your job is to not mess it up and get completions and do that, he's done a really, really good job of that. Again, it's going to come down to whether it's this year or at some point, he's going to have to become more than this for them to, in my opinion, win championships, no matter how good their run game and defense is. And, let's go back to Tom Brady, too. I mean, I played against Tom Brady in his first Super Bowl. This was very much what Tom Brady was, and maybe, again, maybe we could flip it and say Tom Brady was maybe more of a big throw guy down the field, but didn't do that much in terms of creating plays for his offense. In our Super Bowl, I think he threw for 150 yards. As we went into that game, we were not worried about Tom Brady, which is almost unbelievable to say now. But at that time in his career, we weren't worried about him. They were built on running and defense, and their quarterback was a complementary piece. And so, Mac has done as well as you can expect him to do as a rookie. It's just, does he try to do more in the playoffs because they're going to need more? Or, are they able to win the way that, they won during that stretch? But again, I don't think you're going to beat teams in the playoffs by double digits, by 20 points, by playing good defense, running the football, and your quarterback kind of managing things. But it'll be interesting to see how he plays out in this playoffs. But more importantly, how quickly he can become more like Tom Brady. Start his career this way, and then can he become a guy that can carry this team. And with everything else they've got, if he can become that guy, or if they can get some pieces on the outside, man, it'll be fun to watch what this team can do over the next decade or so.
I'll pose that to you then, Kurt. How quickly do you think that sort of transformation can happen? And, I think with a lot of the numbers that we look at right now, especially here locally, people will stack Mac Jones up against other starting quarterbacks in the NFL and say, hey, this number and that number and a lot of these, you put them all together and he looks like about a league average quarterback. He's somewhere in maybe that 16, 15 type of range. Maybe he's even slightly above average as a quarterback in his rookie year. Do you see it the same way? And if so, again, maybe how quickly does it take for him to make that leap that you're talking about?
Well, I definitely think he's played, well this year. It's why they're in the playoffs, is that, you can't get bad quarterback play. No matter how good you are in other areas and not make it to, and make it to the playoffs. And so Mac has played really well. And I would say that, probably middle of the road, NFL wise in how he's played this year. How quickly he can make that transition, I don't know. The first question is, can he make the transition? Will he become that guy? Because we don't know the answer to that yet. All I would say with what I've seen and his ability to process information, I feel like he can definitely make that transition. And, that transition is simply just more patience, taking a deep breath in the pocket and really thinking the game top down, as opposed to thinking it check down or just get a completion. Think of the game differently. But, that's going to be the question, is that how does his mind work? Our minds all work differently as quarterbacks. And, how your mind works is going to dictate how you play the game. And then maybe more importantly, how they ask him to play the game. What is the mindset of the coordinator and Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick on how they want him to play? Maybe a big part of it is they've harped on this, get the ball out, get completions, get the ball out, get completions. And so maybe he's playing fast because that's what they've told him to do. Or maybe it's just, him taking that on himself, going, okay, I just don't want to screw this up. So all of that will play into how quickly and does he become a guy that can take that deep breath, attack down the field a little bit more. Completion percentage might be down, but I'm a believer that when you threaten a defense continually down the field and they're afraid that you're going to attack them down the field, all that does is help your offense in numerous ways, no matter what the stats look like, no matter if your interceptions are up or not. There's a certain way of playing, a mentality of attacking a defense that keeps them on their heels, as opposed to allowing them to attack downhill and attack the line of scrimmage and make the game harder on you. And so those are things that we'll watch as he moves, again, I watch it in the playoffs to see if, and then I'm assuming we're probably going to get mostly the same guy this year, but we'll watch it moving forward to see if he's able to grow and evolve and kind of change his mindset from the way that he's played this year.
No doubt about it. It'll be a lot of fun to watch him on Saturday night against a really good defense on the road, hostile environment, incredible test. In part 3, not often we get a part 3 to any of these divisional matchups, but we've got one on Saturday. Kurt, thanks so much for talking to us beforehand to give us a little bit more insight into this rookie quarterback that we've been watching. We've been so fascinated by all year. It's great to get you on and hear your insight. Thank you.
You bet. Anytime.
All right, great stuff there from Kurt Warner. Don't blame the rookie wall for whatever Mac Jones is going through right now. I understand his take on that. I think it's just been so hard for us to digest why some of these problems are happening that we just sort of default to, oh, he must be tired. And when you're tired, everything kind of goes to, the mental processing that it takes, the focus that it takes to be able to avoid some of the errors that we've seen, whether it's a pick six on the first third down of the game in Miami, or it's a fumbled snap. These are things that we know he has the ability to avoid. So why is he not avoiding them? Thought it was just really interesting too, just to hear about the speed, right? He's playing a little bit too fast. Playing fast is usually a good thing as a quarterback, especially when you're a pocket passer, right? Because that generally doesn't mean you are taking off and running at the first opportunity. It means you're getting through your reads, you're going through your progressions with some alacrity, and you're understanding what you're looking at. And that's helping you get to what is conceivably the right read more quickly. Usually that's a good thing. For Mac Jones, it hasn't always been. And I think he pointed out something that was noteworthy when he said he's not always verifying what he's looking at. He's making his read, and then he's getting to number two, whether it's number two in the progression and it's a little bit down the field, or it's number two, it's the check down. He's looking at number one. Okay, that's not there. Let's check it down. He's almost not looking at that second piece. He sees the first piece. He sees he should come off it, and then it's boom, go almost automatically. There's maybe even a little bit of a robotic element to it. I think that was maybe the case in Miami on that pick six. I think he was focused on making sure that an underneath defender didn't get in the way of his throw or didn't get into his throwing lane to maybe make a play on it. So he sort of initially on that play, looking down the middle of the field, trying to hold that linebacker and keep him out of harm's way. Then when he feels like he has that job done, he turns and he throws. Little does he know, the Dolphins, who play a lot of man-to-man defense, who are pressed at the line of scrimmage, all sorts of indicators in Mac Jones's brain swimming around saying, they're going to be in man. They're going to be in man. It's third down. They're going to be in man. They're probably going to blitz. So I probably have to get this thing out quickly because that's who they are. That's what they do. That's what he's been working on all week in all likelihood. But he turns and he throws and he doesn't verify, to use Kurt's word, he doesn't verify what the Dolphins are actually doing on that play. And it's 6 points going the other way. So I think these are important notes that are things for us to keep an eye out for as we move forward, whether it's one game or more than one game in the postseason here for Mac's rookie career, but even into next year. It's not like next year he's all of a sudden going to go from whether it's number 14, 15, or 16 ranked quarterback in the NFL all the way to number 7 or 8 immediately. It's going to be a slow and steady rise, or at least that's what the Patriots should be hoping for as they watch Mac Jones progress through the early stages of his career. But I thought that was a really interesting word, that verification word that Kurt brought up, because that's something that I think we've seen multiple times. He mentioned the Indy game. I think it happened in Miami. So let's keep an eye out for that. Of course, you should keep an eye out for Kurt on NFL Network's NFL Game Day Morning. It's Saturday at noon, Sunday at 9. The guy is everywhere all the time. He's had a winter coat go viral this fall. I'm sure you've seen that on your Twitter feeds at some point in time. Looks like that thing could survive space. So congratulations to him on that. Congratulations to him on his movie. That thing has come out since we talked to him last. American Underdog. Underrated, phenomenal performance by Georgetown legend, Georgetown quarterback, once upon a time, Matt Paciner, who plays Brett Favre in the movie. Did you know Kurt Warner spent a little bit of time in Green Bay, 1994? That's where he went after Northern Iowa, undrafted rookie. Spent some time with Brett Favre. That's my buddy. That's my guy. Georgetown legend, Matt Paciner, playing Brett Favre. Matt Paciner from Wisconsin. A little bit of a dream come true for that guy. Anyway, keep an eye out for all of that. Also keep an eye out for the Tom Carnes Patriots Talk podcast. We're going to be talking to Matt Castle. We're going to be talking about whether or not Mac's slide late in the season is making him nervous, and how he takes it, and how confident he is moving forward with the Patriots going to Buffalo as underdogs on Saturday night. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the Next Pats podcast this week. Enjoy the game on Saturday. I have no idea if we're going to be looking ahead to a divisional round matchup next time we talk to you here on Next Pats, if we're going to be looking back and doing an autopsy on the 2021 Patriots season. Maybe we'll sprinkle in a little bit of draft talk for you if that's the case. Just coming off the national championship game. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Some really interesting performances by potential Patriots. We'll get into that as we get closer and closer to the draft. But thanks as always for listening to Next Pats. Rate, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you on the Patriots Talk Pod. We'll talk to you on Saturday for pregame and postgame live. We love you. We'll talk to you very soon. Have a great weekend.